highway projects in the 1950s continued to improve connections to places both within and outside of Graham County. This here, Highway 28, it was extended from nearby Stokoe to Fontana Dam. That helped open up access to areas north of Stokoe that were previously more difficult to reach. On this episode of Let's Explore This, we will be exploring one such community just a couple of miles north of Stokoe, Sawyers Creek. So, here is a guy who is originally from the Bryson City vicinity. If this highway was never built to allow easier access past Stokoe, who knows? If that highway was never built, maybe this guy today would not be living in Sawyers Creek. As with many of these so-called creek communities that define the south shore of Fontana Lake, Sawyers Creek has been defined as having both an upper and a lower section. This here is Lower Sawyers Creek Road, which defines the lower section. This here is Upper Sawyers Creek Road, which defines the upper section. And this here, Sawyers Creek, it rips right through both sections. Now, old land records were said to show that Edward DeLozier, often referred to as Neddy, owned substantial land holdings in Graham County, supposedly bought with silver from a supposed mine that has never been located. One of those land holdings was at what came to be referred to as Sawyers Creek. As far as the location of the mine goes, who knows? Some do speculate as to it possibly being around the 20-Mile Creek area. With that said, much of the information for Sawyers Creek, it is going to come from two documents. The first is from the online edition of the Graham County Centennial, 1872 to 1972. The second, it is a document entitled, and this will be a mouthful, Cultural Resources, Existing Conditions Report, North Shore Road, Environmental Impact Statement, Swain and Graham Counties, North Carolina, Final Report. Okay, so originally called Brock prior to being subsumed by the larger Stokoe vicinity, Sawyers Creek has always been itself a distinct community. A post office was established at Brock in 1903, but it was discontinued in 1931. Ever since, the area, it has come to be referred to by the name of the creek that runs right through it. Sawyers Creek likely does derive its name from the Sawyer clan, a family with extensive history in both the south and north shores of Fontana Lake. The clan, it does date back prior to the creation of this lake. Furthermore, that clan had ties to Chambers Creek, a long-gone community once situated not all that far from this location, but along the north bank of the Little Tennessee River. Sawyers Creek, it got its first school probably before 1900, but no later. Clyde Sawyer, who was once a resident of Sawyers Creek, did not go to the white schoolhouse once situated just a ways up this here Highway 28 in the adjacent community of Tuskegee. No, he went to the first school built on Sawyers Creek. However, the leader in getting a school in this community was this man, Dr. George F. Brock. He came to this area from Hominy Valley in Buncombe County. Records are said to show that he bought property here in 1887. The school, of course, was also a church, and it was located in what is called the Shooting Flats. Interestingly, a Google search for Shooting Flats shows nothing. A few years before 1927, Dr. Brock was also instrumental in starting a Methodist church. However, that building was never completed as a church. The county bought the property and completed the building for the second school on Sawyers Creek. And it was also located at Shooting Flats, but it was, in 1928, consolidated into Stokoe. In such rural mountain communities, such as that which is typified by Graham, the starkly simple, rectangular front gable form of the 19th century church remained a common choice, while the addition of a simple belfry or a modest entrance portico gave the otherwise familiar church an up-to-date styling. This here, the Sawyer Creek Baptist Church, which occupies a picturesque creekside setting just off Upper Sawyers Creek Road, exemplifies the persistence of 19th century architectural patterns among rural churches. When initially surveyed by architectural historians in 1997, the frame church retained its weatherboard siding, a small pyramidal-roofed belfry, and a one-room addition to the side elevation. Yes, it does retain that one-room addition. However, it does look like it is kind of either being repaired or is in need of some repair. I mean, this here is the rear end, an elevation that is not even sided. And just looking up there, you can see repairs are definitely needed. The windows and door had also been replaced by 1997. Since its determination of being recognized as historic in 2004, the church has been clad with vinyl. I guess that means we had to say goodbye to the cute little weatherboards that once dominated the elevations of this church. And you know, vinyl, it is a plastic derived from crude oil. It is horrible for the environment, and it is expensive to recycle. Furthermore, it is not a historic material, and it is despised by many architectural historians. As such, it can ruin a structure's historic integrity. Now, folks, one thing the document does not mention is that the church, it is not completely rectangular. Yes, its edges are square. Back here, though, notice how this side tends to veer off. Then, at the corner here, it veers off again, all forming a kind of triangle. That means that this church, yes, it is not exactly rectangular. And what do we have here? A stone foundation? The document said nothing about that. I wonder why that is. What? That's not stone. That's plastic. Really? Talk about being unsustainable. It looks like stone, yes, but it's not. It's fakery, folks, absolute fakery. So, a cheaply built foundation. There has got to be posts or something holding this up. Plastic? I doubt that is going to cut it. How much does this church weigh? Now, folks, you should know Brock, the original name for the Sawyers Creek community, was directly named after Dr. Brock. Furthermore, Dr. Brock, he served as a county commissioner in 1924 and a representative of Graham County in 1929. He has been remembered as riding a white horse about the countryside to attend his duties as a physician. He was also a familiar personality to other nearby communities along the Little Tennessee River. Interestingly, Graham County, yes, it is listed as one of 8 out of 25 western North Carolina counties to hold historic boxed houses. In spite of their widespread use in the early 20th century, boxed dwellings, they have not survived in great numbers. No, many have been demolished. Still, others have been converted to farm or general storage use. Regardless, there are 2 historic examples existing along Lower Sawyers Creek Road. Now, for both, I will have to mainly resort to photos. Simply stated, both are on private property. For the first one to be discussed, there was someone outside, so briefly, I will get a quick view of it while driving past it. Yep, there it is. Well, this here, it is a boxed house listed as being the Sawyer Boxed House, built between 1916 and 1930. There is not a lot of information on it, though it has been subject to heavy alterations and additions. Also existing along the same road is the much more deteriorated Cabe Boxed House. This one, for decades, it has been used as a barn. And this one, yes, it is hard to get a good view of while driving, at least without going up onto the driveway. However, there it is, over there, if you are wondering. It is so sunny that zooming in and trying to focus through a windshield while driving, no less. Yeah, that's about as the best as you're gonna get. Well, folks, that pretty much sums up the history of Sawyers Creek. For those of you that do not know, Sawyers Creek, it is one of the 4 main creeks that define the south shore of Fontana Lake. The other 3 are Panther Creek, Stocoa Creek, and Tuskegee Creek. And now, that time has once again come, that time to move on to our next destination, wherever that might be.